And I guess what would be important for me to know too, I think, just to get a full picture of how you knew when you were going through, like what were the signs and things that you started to experience? And then like, what did that narrative look like for each of you in terms of like your thought process? Like, were you in denial? Did you have good feelings, bad feelings, neutral feelings about it? What did that experience look like for each of you? Michelle?
For me, I noticed definite physical changes out of nowhere. I've gone through most of my 40s feeling pretty darn good. And then all of a sudden, like a cloud, I was hit with mental issues, physical changes that just all at once, I felt like I was suffocating. And I think I was in denial initially, but discussed it with my physician. And she was like, oh, no, you're not there yet. We'll retest you in a few years. You still have your cycle, so you're going to be okay, knowing that I felt miserable. So finding Winona as a solution has really, really changed my life. Honestly, it has, in a positive way, because I was feeling, really hopeless. My physician is telling me I'm fine. I go home and I'm, sweating until I finally fall asleep. I wake up and I'm frantic and, like Fabia said, anxiety issues. It just was not working for me at all. So I knew that, that something was changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say it was an evolution for me to get to this place, this positive place, because let me tell you, 2020, I was like, you guys are going to have to lock me up in an asylum because I have panic attacks every day. I have anxiety every day. I always thought like my narrative was that when I would experience things like night sweats, I was like, oh, well, I'm a hot sleeper, which in some respects I was, like even in my 20s, like some nights I would just be hot, but I don't think I necessarily, it didn't click for me that I was going through like perimenopause or hitting menopause. Like, I don't know what I thought, to be honest with you. I think I was just like, what is going on? I am literally losing my mind and I'm exhausted. And it's like totally, it's like a light switch. It's like I went to bed in February of 2020. And then by April of 2020, I was this different person. And then also the same thing that you had to say about weight. Like I was this person who was like a 4'6", and then all of a sudden I have these pounds and it's like, well, where'd this come from? I'm, not doing anything differently. I'm eating the same. I do hot yoga, like nothing has really changed. And I think now, and then back to Michelle's point where I feel like that's what was so frustrating. I went to doctors and the same thing, like, oh, well, you're not there yet because you're still having a cycle and we've done all these tests and, what we think you are is just depressed and have a generalized anxiety disorder.
Wow.
And I was like, I've never had any of those before. So, but then I'm like, well, maybe because it's COVID. Right? Like it's pandemic. And I know that's been hard on us as a society collectively. Right. So, so I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, but I'll tell you this, it was my mom who said, you know what? I think this is hormonal. I think you should, look into that aspect. And I was
high five to mom.
Well, yeah. I mean, and then I was like, no, mom, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I think I'm actually losing my mind. And so, it was my mom that actually like seeded with me that, well, you are of age to start to begin a transition. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally can relate to both Fabia and Michelle. I all of a sudden had weight issues. I was doing my things and my things didn't work. And I went to my doctor. I talked about it and he said, you're fine. This is your new normal. And so I was like, no, it's not. And
Right.
I Googled just different things, and I actually came across the website, and the website had some information about, changes that can happen, when you're in this phase of life. And so I was like, okay, oh wow, like that seems feasible because I'm doing the same stuff. Like what's happening? Why is my body betraying me right now?
Yeah.
Right. Betrayal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like,
yes.
we were good up until this point, but that was like how I even that was my first advisement of this.